Hey everyone. So, in this video, I want to talk to you about what I'm calling the liturgical limbo. And before you click away, this isn't just insider church talk. This is a masterclass in how a massive, ancient institution manages a crisis it can't solve. It's about strategy, patience, and what happens when you choose deliberate ambiguity over a clear yes or no. If you've ever felt stuck in the middle of a fight with no end in sight, you'll understand this. Let's rewind. Years ago, I learned about this theological idea called Limbus Puerorum, the Limbo of Infants. It was never official dogma, but it was a widely held belief for centuries. It wasn't heaven and it wasn't hell. It was a state of natural happiness, but not the full joy of God's presence. Why did this idea persist? Because it was an act of intellectual and pastoral humility. It was a way for the church to say, we don't have all the answers here, and we won't force one. Now, here's my personal insight, the lens through which I see everything happening right now. The traditional Latin Mass is being placed in a nearly identical state of suspension. It's not being abolished. It's not being restored to its former place. It's being held in a carefully managed, deliberate limbo. This isn't an accident. It's a strategy. And to understand it, we need to look at the evidence of the last few years. The story seems to start with a slam of the door. In 2021, Pope Francis issued Traditionis Custodes, a document that felt like a definitive restriction on the old Mass. The message was clear. Unity meant having one primary rite. But then, under Pope Leo XIV, something shifted. The door didn't swing fully open again, but the lock started to look porous. Let me walk you through what I've been tracking. First, the Pope's own words. In an interview, he didn't come out swinging. He called the situation very complicated. He warned against using the liturgy as a political tool. That's not the language of a victor crushing a foe. It's the language of a mediator acknowledging a deep, messy problem. Then, the symbolic gestures. This is where it gets fascinating for me. Cardinal Raymond Burke, a known advocate, celebrates a full traditional Latin Mass in St. Peter's Basilica with the Pope's own permission. Think about that signal. At the very heart of the Church, the old rite is not treated as a contagion, but as something that can still belong. Furthermore, the Pope meets with Bishop Fernando Riefan, a bishop whose entire ministry is based on the old liturgy. And behind the scenes, we learn that bishops can now apply for renewable 2-year exemptions to allow the Mass in their diocese. The law in the books, it hasn't changed. Traditionis Custodes is still there, but the application has become a patchwork of permissions. This isn't chaos. This is by design. So what's the endgame here? If you're looking for a final solution, you'll be frustrated. But if you look at it like I do, as a process, it becomes clear. The goal under Pope Leo XIV appears not to be winning, but decompression. After a period of high tension and sharp rhetoric, the strategy is to lower the temperature, to avoid the inflammatory gesture, to take the conflict out of the headlines and into a space of managed coexistence. This creates an unstable, confusing, but perhaps necessary balance. The traditional Latin Mass exists in a provisional state. It's not being nurtured, but it's not being eradicated. It's being permitted in pockets, with oversight on a temporary yet renewable basis. This tells me something profound about the Church's self-understanding right now. It reveals a leadership that knows the wounds from the liturgical wars are too deep for a simple surgical fix. A forceful suppression could create schism. A full embrace could unravel decades of reform. So, the chosen path is strategic patience. It's the application of limbo as a pastoral and administrative tool. For someone like me, and for millions on all sides of this limbo is emotionally taxing. For traditionalists, it's a source of anxiety. Your spiritual home is on a short-term lease, constantly up for review. For others, it feels like inconsistency, a failure to lead. But I've come to see it differently. In a polarized world, the church is modeling a different way to handle irreconcilable differences, not through decisive victory, but through managed time. It's betting that time, prayer, and lived experience within a unified structure will do more to heal than any decree. The traditional Latin Mass, in this limbo, becomes a living question mark. Its future isn't written in a document, but in the daily lives of the communities that celebrate it and the bishops who shepherd them. The liturgical limbo isn't a prison. It's an imposed period of reflection for the entire church. This is my take, based on everything I've read, seen, and prayed about. What's yours? Have you experienced this limbo in your own parish or community? Do you see this as wise patience or failed leadership? The conversation is crucial, so let's have it respectfully in the comments below. If this way of looking at complex issues resonates with you, smash that like button and subscribe. I'm trying to build a space where we can find clarity, not just noise. Thanks for watching and for thinking deeply about these things with me. See you in the next one.